So we go way back into a whole. We go back through a whole successive number of generations. But
Yeah.
Gen Z, one of the biggest issues with Gen Z, before we get into issues in particular, is getting Gen Z to participate in politics. And I just like to just get both of your ideas in terms of what motivates Gen Z, that particular generation, and to participate in politics. What makes them want to engage and to participate, should we say, in civic engagement? And Ms. Evans, we'll start with you. Yes.
Okay. For I'm gonna speak on myself first. I would say what like motivated me with politics and getting into it is fighting for my rights and wanting to know like I have that voice. I could speak. I could say what I want to say, and fight for what I want. Yes, I feel like also that's another thing with our Gen Z. We get shut down a lot with like a lot of our ideas or things that we have to say, and I think that sometimes causes a little gap, and also making time for what we want. On like our
Yeah.
generation is very difficult. Like I feel like we should be going very big on certain topics around the world and actually speaking on things and arguing. And I feel like also our voice people is very much like they feel like it's not heard or they're not gonna get seen or it's not gonna
It's not
be
loud enough.
yes, it's
It's
not
not
loud
loud enough.
enough.
Yes.
And so I feel like that's why it's silent.
Hmm.
And Ms. Alvarez, yes, and your perception of civic engagement with Gen Z, yes.
Yeah, well, once again, I could also only speak on my behalf, but I guess political kind of engagement and civic engagement for, I guess, people my age and me specifically comes from, I guess, education on what's going on in the world. Because I feel like a lot of the time there's no engagement because there's ignorance and we don't know what's going on. So
Because there's no engagement, you say it's ignorance,
there's
right?
ignorance, so
And,
there's no
ignorance in the sense
knowledge.
that
Very much.
not ignorance in the sense that they actually do not know and understand the
Yeah,
issues. I would think.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I think there's two ways to go about it. I think there's a side where people aren't really aware of it, but they don't take. I guess they don't know about things that are going on in the world, but they don't take the time to educate themselves on it, which is where the ignorance comes in.
Hmm.
But then there's also people who want to, but there's no access to that education to understand what's going on in the world.
And when you say education, and I'm gonna let's
Yes.
clarify this. You mean a political education, an
Yes.
education of what?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, and even political education itself, I feel like the word like politics, political is so like formal sometimes, and even like there's like situations or like topics that aren't very formal. Like we can when we think politics, we think regulations, we think policies,
Yes.
but then there's also politics, the side of everyday life that a lot of people know about, but they don't speak on it. Once again, because our voices aren't loud enough.
I see and understand this, and both of you are what I find that what is unique to you is that both of you come from outside the state of Louisiana,
Yes.
uh,
Yes.
and Miss Evans, you're from California.
Yes, I'm from Sacramento, California. Yes,
Sacramento.
916.
What is it? 916.
916, yes.
Yes. And Miss Alvarez, you're from New Mexico,
Yes, sir.
Albuquerque.
Albuquerque, New
Yes,
Mexico.
indeed.
Yes,
And
sir.
so you bring up, and both of those areas have their own different political culture, their own different norms and values and way of doing things. And then you come here to the deep south,
Yes.
here in the
Different.
state of
Way
Louisiana,
different.
and
Yeah.
it's a whole different avenue, should I say? Uh, let us do this. The uniqueness that you two bring to the plate is that you're political science majors. That you like politics. You like the science of politics. You like the study of politics, and you understand it. And we find so often that that requires a particular mindset and a different
Mm.
mindset,
Yes.
and which is altogether unique within itself. So, with your political science major, and we'll start with you, Miss Evans, and tell us what is it that made you become involved in political science, and why did you choose political science as a major?
I chose political science as a major because I wanted to go into like the legal field, but I was like being criminal justice is just too I don't want to say it's basic, but it's just
Yeah.
very like straightforward with
Mm-hmm.
politics. I have this realm where I could research, I can analyze, I could be able to talk
Mm-hmm.
and really get down to the nitty gritty. I feel like.
Yeah.
It's an old term.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's why I like. I really chose political science.
Yes. And Ms. Alvarez, yes.
Yeah, for me it's kind of the same because I wanted to, I guess, go in the route of law, practicing law, helping with. My main thing was to help, and my main motivation was, I guess I've seen a lot as growing up, a lot of people who were close to me, a lot of relatives, just people who are important to me, they would be wrongly accused a lot of the times,
Mm.
and that was like a source of motivation. Um, and it's a funny story because I literally looked up like how can I get someone out of jail one day, and then they started telling me like career paths or things that I could do. And then one of the things was studying political science. Yes, we could do like criminal stuff like that, but I feel like political science, it gets you to what criminal justice also can get you to,
Uh,
but with more variety.
Absolutely, I see
Yeah.
that, and I see the uniqueness that you speak about. And so you take your major, you take the areas and disciplines that you find to be important, and then
Mhm.
you translate that into what we talked about in the beginning of the program, and that is the fact that there are certain things what's specific to Gen Z and specific to what makes a generation tick. And I know you can't speak to all, but you have a general sense
Yes. Yes.
of your generation of your colleagues
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
the ones who are in the university setting, and also the ones who may not be traditional age students and just may be in the working world or in the
Yes.
community. Now, some issues I know which are important because I've known you all for a while, and I know some of the issues which become important to you. Like for instance, I know immigration is a particular important issue to you, and I know there are a whole host of issues. But when you look at immigration and your generation, they tend to look at immigration somewhat different than my generation. But how would you say that Gen Z looks at
Um,
immigration politics itself?
I think, especially in our current time, I think our generation antagonizes immigration. Like it's when they hear immigration, they go like they don't want to talk about it because it's like it makes them mad, it makes them upset, so they antagonize it a lot of the time. Like it's something negative. But for me, like I come from immigrant relatives, like my parents are immigrants and everything. So it's like for me,
Which
it's like
country?
Mexico,
Okay.
Mexico, yeah. For me, it's I feel like I should relate to those who kind of take immigration as something negative, as like a negative system, negative concept, like it's not where it's supposed to be. But for me, I take it as a system that yes, it's not where it's supposed to be at, but it's a system for improvement. It's not a system we should shut down. It's a system we need to kind of look at is to improve it. And I feel like our generation doesn't see it that way. They just see it as something that needs to like be deleted and restart. But I feel like what we have now is something we can work with.
To build
So
upon it as opposed
yes,
to
and I
delete
feel
the
like
entire
yeah,
process. Yes.
exactly. And I feel like our generation doesn't really see it that way. They kind of they reject it.
They're
Mhm.
rejected as a concept. And I also know that you like gun control. I say
Mhm.
gun control,
Yeah, that's another
Like
one.
but
yeah,
guns, yes.
yeah, regulation, I
Guns
guess. It's
regulation.
a very
Mm.
complicated. I just find myself when kind of analyzing and talking about gun regulations, um it's very complicated, very complicated, because I find myself agreeing with one side, but then a really good point is brought up on the other
Mhm.
side, and find myself switching, and it's just like a back and forth, which I like, and I feel like politics is like that. It's always back and forth. So
And yeah, and that's the nature of the political arena. It is
Yes.
about competitive forces together, interest groups, warring and working with one another. And also, Ms. Evans, I know that there are certain issues which are near and dear to you, and I know one. You just came back from an activity, poverty,
Yes.
and I
Yes.
would think the eradication of poverty, but poverty itself is an area of concern. Yes.
Yes, it is. I just came back donating to a women's shelter. We donate Omicron, the Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated, chapter Omicron, from Dillard University. We donated Pampers, diapers, wipes, things to a women's shelter around the corner. Speaking on poverty, like I feel like it's getting harder about the years, about the days. Prices going up, gas is going
gas,
up,
oof.
everything's going up just in stores. It's hard to buy food. It's hard to buy the necessities, just the basic stuff, the
Mhm.
the hygiene products, your food, water, like
Groceries.
things are just going up too high, and without those things, you can't survive. And I feel like when it comes to this, we should be taking a step to reduce it and actually sticking up. But I haven't personally heard from my generation speaking on the prices. Of course, I've heard from your generation and more,
and
because
more.
y'all used to the 99-cent candy in the stores and everything. But I feel like this is a bigger issue now, and we need to start talking and getting to know what's the problem and trying
Yeah.
to fix it.
Instead of just complaining. Like I
Yes,
feel like our
because
generation find like they like to complain, but they don't like to find
But to
solutions.
find
yes,
solutions.
yes, the
Yes.
And,
solutions.
Yes.
and solutions come through organization and organizing, forming organizations, and being. And I know both of you involved. I know you're involved, You're involved, Miss Alvarez, with your church, and Miss Evans. I know you're involved to a large extent with your sorority and groups. But it comes through involving yourselves with groups and organizations,
Yes, a lot of
and it's the organizations that and the group that you belong to that tends to make differences in society. And do you find that generation, that Gen Z, this generation, um, do you find that when you look around at your peers and look at them, do you see them um, forming alliances with other groups?
yes,
Okay,
I
and
think
yes,
so.
okay,
I think also I will say this. I think COVID played a big
yeah, okay,
part
In
with
our
this
generation
yeah,
in this generation, because
Yes.
before COVID, I could see, like, even just I was in high school. I was just starting my freshman year when it was COVID, and when I got to high school, I seen a bunch of groups just in just I know I'm in college now, but just in high school, there's a bunch of groups, a bunch of clubs working on different things. I'm from Sacramento. We're kind of like one of the biggest um, states, really, that's like diverse.
Yes.
So
oh,
like,
very
yeah,
diverse,
so
yeah.
I had like a lot of different
It's more
races,
than black and white.
ethnicities,
There, yes.
way more. And so we had a bunch of clubs. We were tackling different things. We're going to the Capitol. There's different things going on for our generation. And now I feel like since we had to break that socialization kind of grouping and forming from COVID, I think it's slowly getting back to what it
Gotcha.
used to be.
Yeah.
It's getting back to it, but from the rate, it's I see groups forming at Dillard. We have some groups, RSGA. We have our presidents, our Royal Court, different things. They're tackling things.
There's a Hispanic group as
Yes.
well.
Okay, and right, and you see alliances being formed up with other groups as well, do you not?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Now you know something, and I want you to address this because it's an issue that I know that's taking place now that is so important. And that is, it's on the top of the table. And this particular administration has made drastic moves in eliminating the concept, eliminating diversity, equity, and inclusion (DEI). And I'd like for you to address the value and need for diversity, equity, and inclusion in education and jobs and in the workforce. And yes, we can start. We can start with you and Ms. Alvarez and
Yes,
talk
sir.
about the value of diversity, the value of equity, the value of inclusion within the American experience.
Yeah, so well when I think about diversity, I think it's something that's welcoming, but
Okay.
it also gives back. So like America, we welcome, but sometimes we don't give back. Um, so like I guess diversity in a way, I think it's important because diversity brings perspective, and different perspectives
Yes.
creates growth, and I feel like that's something we need. And like specifically like when I think about like Louisiana, like I walk around and a lot of people like stare at me because I feel like they
They
haven't
never
they don't
seen.
they've never
Yes.
seen,
They.
I mean like
Yes.
they haven't seen my
That's
people, I
true.
guess. So
And
it's
so a lot of
like
people,
Yeah.
Latinos,
yeah,
specific, or
yeah.
Latinos existing in the state.
Of Louisiana,
In
I'm like,
Louisiana.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's
so
on
it's
two colors here. That's how I feel. Even
It's
just
just
yeah,
black
as
there's
and
not a
white.
lot
yeah,
of
that's
diversity.
it.
Yeah,
And
there's
when I
not
first got here, I was like, "What in the world is going
And
on?"
Sacramento one time was the at once it was the most diverse city in America, in particular the city council in
Yes,
Sacramento. They had the most diverse city council. And so and the same question for you, Ms. Evans. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. The value of diversity, equity, and inclusion within the American political experience. How do you see it?
I see it as diversity is very much, it's important. It's needed everywhere. I feel like now the experiences I got on my diversity, like I think way different, and I feel like I think very highly of different cultures and experiences, and versus someone who hasn't been able to experience that diversity. Here, even with diversity, I feel like it's not getting shut out the world, but part of people, they want to shut out the world. They don't really want to combine people. I don't know how to
You see that?
yeah, like they don't want to
they,
associate
they,
themselves.
they want that
Yeah.
separatism.
They
Yes,
want
they want that
separation.
separation.
And I
around
don't think
the-
that's diversity. I
No.
think that there's a difference between like having everybody, but having inclusion. I feel like creates what is important.
The
Like
The
we
strength
could,
that you see is
yeah, we could
important.
have diversity. We could have a lot of different perspectives, but I feel like the inclusion, the unity, is what's important.
And it brings
Yes.
about different political perspectives. And I want, and you both alluded to this, and I want you to take a deeper dive into this for uh, from my perspective, and actually from your perspective, is that one comes from the West Coast and one is from the Southwest. And if you can talk about the Southwest political culture and experience when you come here as young people and you observe the nature of the Southern political experience here in the state of Louisiana, and we'll start with you. Yes, yes, Ms. Alvarez. Yes, the difference between New Mexico
Hmm.
and Louisiana,
Hmm.
Albuquerque
Yeah.
and New Orleans. Yes.
Um. Well, I guess in regards to the diversity is very different.
Okay.
Like for starters, very very different. Here, black and white, it's just like you know what you know what you expect. Like you expect to see, and then that's what you see. So it's like it. I've been here for about like 4 or 5 months, and I'm kind of like it's even rare for me to see people who look like me too. So it's like I'm shocked when I see
Yeah.
people somebody who
And
looks
do you
like me
speak
too.
to them?
So yeah, I do, and it's crazy because I feel like we're both on the same like
That's the way
wavelength.
it
We're like,
works.
hey, you're here too. So we're like,
Yeah.
we like talk and we talk in Spanish too. Like
Yes.
I don't know if they speak Spanish, but we kind of both know, and
Yes.
it just like comes naturally. But I guess that's one other thing like over there, but um, in New Mexico, it's kind of reverse from here. So there's a lot of um, Black Americans here. Obviously, over there, it's more people like me. Like so,
Yes.
it's like
Mm.
it's reversed. So I feel like if you guys went to New Mexico, you'd feel like how I feel.
Mm.
So like the diversity is very different, almost opposite. In regards to political issues, over there we're very much. I think it's more concentrated on once again like immigration issues, things that that focus on the cultures that are there. So like
Mm.
people like me, the political issues are more revolved around the people that it's affecting there. So it's like people like me, such as like immigration, poverty once again. I don't like food stamps, stuff like that. So it's the focus is more on there rather than I guess I don't know. I haven't really heard a lot of gun regulations
Okay.
like policies talked about over there. Especially with my generation once
Now,
again,
what
which is
about
the main topic.
and what about the Latino community? Do you find that the young Latino community, do you find them diverse, or it's not diverse, but different from older Latinos in terms of their approach, in terms of their politics?
Oh yes, yes.
And how is that manifested?
Um, First off, I feel like here in America, Latinos don't, especially the older generation, such as like my grandparents, my parents. I can only speak on their behalf, obviously, but I see that they're not really aware of political issues. They're not really. It's not that they don't care about it, but it's not their focus. They know about it. Okay, this is happening, but they kind of once again they're ignorant about it. And I think it's because um, they came here for a different purpose.
Mhm.
They didn't grow up here. They didn't. So they came here for a different purpose, and that purpose is they stick to it. But once like our generation comes in, like me, I'm kind of more involved in politics. I like to know more about it. But I didn't come from my parent. My dad was a lawyer, or my mom was involved in this and this and this. So that's how I became involved in politics. And I feel like a lot of the time, in our generation, there's a lot of people like that, and sometimes I feel kind of incapable of being at their knowledge level, just because my background isn't from, oh, my dad like taught me this, or my dad we went this, or my dad was a lawyer, or I guess my parents never, we never talked about politics. So I guess I'm the one who's starting like the route for politics in my family, and I feel like it's very common in the Latino community as well. I think our generation is starting the attention to politics from our culture.
And before I go to Ms. Evans, I wanted you to tell me this. And I know that in many second and third generation Latino communities, the language itself
Yes.
is dying. It's not
Yes.
used.
Yes.
It's not, and I find you to be somewhat unique in the sense that you are bilingual. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So that's another thing too. I have family members. Their parents, like my cousins, their parents speak Spanish, but they don't speak a word of Spanish. I don't know how they communicate, but like their parents speak only Spanish, some
Yes.
English. Their kids only speak English, and I feel like that comes from that's just an ignorant parent. They just didn't give
And part of the assimilation.
Exactly. I think
did not encourage it.
exactly, and I feel like the generation now, specifically towards the Latino Hispanic community, I think it's just very different, because growing up as a Latino Hispanic in America is very, very different from growing up in Mexico with the origin. It's very, very different. So I think my parents grew up in Mexico. We came here, and the way I grew up, we come from the same place, but we're very, very, very different. And I think specifically our generation, we kind of were losing, like you said, we're losing the culture in a way, because we're not, I guess in a way, we're not from here. We're not, it kind of feels like we're not supposed to be here, because our culture is over there. Like where we're from is over there. And we're losing sight of that. Because, and I think a part of that, especially the Spanish, is because we want to feel more included in this country. We want to feel, well, like not welcome, but not that anybody's like push. Well, they are.
But
in
yeah,
our-
there are those. Yeah,
yeah.
but you want to be.
we
want
want
to.
to, yes, we want to be a part, exactly.
Because
And I think
that's the nature. Yeah.
exactly.
Exactly. And I say, and I studied my degrees in Latin American studies from Tulane, and I studied at two universities actually
Okay.
In Mexico, and also at one university in Spain. And so and my Spanish that I initially learned was Castilian. But let me and it's a whole different approach. But let's do this again. Getting back to the original, the differences that exist in
Yeah.
terms of California, Sacramento, and here in Louisiana. Yes.
Here in Louisiana, it's very different culture wise, seeing my people more. Back at home, I see my people. Um, we're there. We're there. It's a little different on like,
You say my people, you mean
yes, Black African American. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
you must be on our radio.
Yeah, okay, that's my bad. Yes, African American. I would like to say though, here I see in our people fight a little different here versus back at home. I feel like also
You say fight? What do you mean by fight?
fight
And
well,
fight who?
politics,
Okay, all
different
right.
things. Like y'all are actually stepping up for our culture out here, or in our race and the rights that we have. Back at home, it's kind of littled a little bit, but it's not. It's not like they don't want to. I think it's just also resources too, and finding your group, because out there our group is not as big as large as the South, just in general. But also I would like to say on Gen Z part, our generation definitely, I feel like, could do better in some routes of our history, and really knowing and doing better just for ourselves, because I feel like our people, African Americans, back then fought for a lot of different things for us to have today. And I don't want to say it's some of people I do know, it tends off to come off as it's unappreciative, or it's not. I'm trying to figure the right word to say, but it's not. It's not. We're not using what we need to use in the right way.
Let me say this in the remaining 3 minutes that we do have, because I want you to give us I want both of you to give us some sign off messages.
Okay, yeah.
But both of you also went to Baton Rouge to the state legislature as a part of the
Oh,
political
yeah.
science arena. It's also part of Project Pericles, and so talk about the fact of your experience at the legislature, lobbying the legislature for civic engagement, and political involvement, and advocating, should I say? And yes,
It was it was
yes.
fun.
Okay.
It was fun. It was good to see the mayor. We got to meet the mayor.
Okay.
And then also we just like got to hear the voting rights and the things that they're trying to change and what's coming up.
Yeah.
And that's important. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, same here. I feel like those type of experiences kind of open our eyes that a lot of us are on the same page, but we just need more of us so we can actually create a change. So it's interesting to see, like.
Absolutely. And so before we sign off, I want you to give us a message that you, if any, that you would have for Miss Alvarez and then Miss Evans, a message, if any, that, and you do have a message for Gen Z and for the nation. Yes. About civic engagement and political participation.
I think first, civic engagement and politics, it's not hard. So it's like, it's not hard and it's important. So
Not
there really
boring.
is no like reason not to do it. I guess it's simple, it's easy, and it benefits you.
It's simple, it benefits you. Okay. And
It's not
Miss Evans.
boring. I would
It's
like to
not
add on. It's not
boring. Yeah,
boring.
it's
I
not
feel like
boring.
a lot of people think it's boring, but it's very helpful. It brings out ideas and different viewpoints and makes you think and analyze and do the research that you need to do in order to start
Yeah.
day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And again, this is you can follow me on all platforms of social media.
It's wonderful.
And this is Dr. Clark's 101, the Living Classrooms. We were talking some Gen Z politics 101 with two individuals who know the good. And I hope you will come back and join us again at
Yes.
some point, because you're good stars for us. And again, as always, it's been a pleasure.
pleasure.